I'm Rayesh Uppal, founder of IDST. We bring you sharp insights and foresight on emerging tech, defense, and security. Let's dive in.
When we think about future conflicts, we often picture tanks, jets, or even cyber attacks, but one of the most decisive battlefields is actually orbiting right above us. Space is becoming crowded, contested, and absolutely critical. With more than 1 million new satellites proposed across hundreds of constellations, it's no longer just about keeping things in orbit, it's about knowing exactly what they're doing. That's where space domain awareness comes in. Now, here's the tricky part. Not every satellite up there is playing fair. Some drift far too close to others, performing what's called rendezvous and proximity operations. On the surface, they might claim to be doing repairs or inspections. But in reality, some of these satellites are shadowing their targets, listening in on signals, or even preparing to interfere with critical systems. Unlike missile-based anti-satellite weapons, which are loud, destructive, and obvious, these co-orbital threats are sneaky. They can sit silently in orbit, blending in with the crowd, and strike at the moment of their choosing. And this isn't just a theory, it's already happening. In 2024, the Pentagon confirmed that Russia placed a suspected counter-space weapon in low Earth orbit, positioning it dangerously close to a US government satellite. A year earlier, another Russian satellite, Luch-2, raised eyebrows by pulling off maneuvers that reminded everyone of its predecessor, a notorious craft that had quietly crept up on foreign satellites in the past. These kinds of moves show just how real the threat has become. The real challenge is spotting the difference between something harmless and something hostile. Satellites adjust their orbits all the time for perfectly innocent reasons: station keeping, software updates, or even just reacting to space weather. But when a satellite suddenly starts shadowing another, or maneuvering without explanation, that's when things get complicated. It's like trying to pick out a spy in the middle of a crowded city. This is where artificial intelligence changes the game. Traditional telescopes and radar are still important, but they just can't keep up with the sheer scale of modern space activity. AI, on the other hand, can sift through enormous amounts of orbital data in real time, learning to recognize unusual movements, unexpected proximity patterns, or even odd transmission signals that might signal interference. One of the most advanced examples is DARPA's Agatha system. Instead of relying on fixed rules, Agatha uses something called inverse reinforcement learning. It basically studies satellite behavior and infers intent, figuring out what a satellite might be planning by the way it moves. Trained on decades of orbital data, Agatha can flag subtle deviations that humans might never catch, even in massive constellations with thousands of satellites. And here's why that matters. With early warning alerts, militaries can reposition satellites, activate electronic countermeasures, or even use diplomacy to defuse a potential incident before it escalates. In other words, AI-driven space domain awareness gives operators a fighting chance to stay ahead of threats that are designed to hide in plain sight. But this isn't only about defense. Satellites power GPS, communications, banking, weather forecasts, and so much more in everyday life. Losing them or even having them disrupted could send shockwaves through modern society. That's why international cooperation will be so important, to share data and establish rules of the road for responsible behavior in orbit. As space gets more congested and contested, systems like Agatha are paving the way toward a future where we can detect anomalies, predict threats, and protect satellites before it's too late. Because the battles of tomorrow won't just be fought on land, at sea, or online. They'll be fought silently above us, at the speed of data, in the new frontier of orbit.